completely inside its shell. A tortoise lives its life completely inside its shell. We will live our life completely in our body, and our mind will pray will never fail us. Ashe Edumare. It is true memory that we used to remember. We remember Ifa. In the modern day now, that we have the access to writing, which is still writing in other races, letters. What I have felt is if we have our own letters, which we did at the beginning of time, but it's all wiped out and not inside our culture anymore, that we have to borrow other people's cultures to interpret our own language even. So I pray that our life will continue to be blessed to where we can create and live a life that is fully destined to be. Ashe Edumare. Our wisdom today rests on the Odu of Ogunda Meji. Ogunda Meji. When we look at the word Ogunda, it is inside this Odu that we even the Odu found his name, Ogunda Eja Meji. Ogunda split the fish into two. Is how the word came, the Odu came. Ogunda Meji, according to Ifa, is one of the strongest of all the Olodus. He was strong because Ifa, Samaru told us he combined the power of the brute force of Ogun himself and the wisdom of Orunmila together. A person that will cast Ogunda Meji for, we will always tell the person to try and not be furious at things all the time, to be patient in doing things. Because according to Osamaro, we are even with all the other Odus, we know that Ogunda Meji is the one that gave the accounts of the creation, how God created earth, and then Eledumare created the earth, and then have it populated. At the beginning, it was Ogun that was sent first, because we understand that Ogun is a trailblazer, and according to my own philosophy, I would say Ogun lived during the Iron Ages, at the time when humanity just start looking into, or mistakenly came across fire. They came about fire. It is through the stones that we are able to create fire. When two stones are struck together, fire is ignited from it. Because fire, according to Odu Irosomeji, ran and took solace and hide. Fire went and hide inside the rock. When his own demise came, he was told to offer and he didn't, so he went into the stone. But Ogunda Meji used the brute force of Ogun and used the wisdom of Orunmila to come and blaze the trail. When Ogunda Meji was sent by Eledumare, Ogun did not go for divination. As evident, only Orunmila usually never does anything without going for divination. When it goes for divination now, if I will tell you something and you will do those things, once you do those things, you get the result that you are looking for. Ogun did never go for divination, so he just left and came to earth with all his men and women, and start to do things. When it is time for them to eat now and they were hungry, according to Ifa, we were told Ogun gave all his people sticks like wood to eat. I mean, it will. How can a person be so satisfied with just eating sticks or wood alone? So they were not long. They were all dying, and Ogun could not accomplish it. Eledumare sent Olokun also, according to Ogundamiji. Olokun came and was feeding his people just water, and nobody will survive just on water. And they end up all dying off. Olokun returned. Mission impossible. But Eledumare now sent Orunmila, who goes straight to Ifa, and Ifa advised him to bring all nature of things in pairs. And he made all his offerings to Ishu. And he came to earth and started create the people. There are other accounts that happened that when we go to the Odu of Ogbeyonu, Ogbe Ogunda, it is where the accounts was in detail of what happened, where the Orunmila was advised not to stop when he gets to earth, to continue his movement and not stay in one spot like all the deities, 201 deities did, 200 deities did, which is the reason why Orunmila was able to be inside a house today and all the other Orishas were outside, because they were hiding from the rain. 16 years it was raining. It was raining. And Orunmila didn't stop. Inside the rain, he did everything he needs to do. So when Orunmila now created everything, Eshu quickly went and tell Ogun that Orunmila has done what Orunmila has done. And Ogun came to block Orunmila's path. And Orunmila did explain to Ogun, and Ogun allowed Orunmila to continue his work. He also did that to Olokun. Olokun blocked the path with water, and Orunmila explained to Olokun. Eventually, he himself was allowed to do everything. After Orunmila has come here and created the earth, and created humanity and start making growing plants and crops and everything, Eledumare now Orunmila sent Okpele, which is a divining chain, back to Eledumare, and Eledumare now sent Ule, which is a house, to come and be with Orunmila, because they were both in the spirit world together. That is how Orunmila now have buildings. When Ule died and buildings sprang up, and that's where Orunmila was able to have a home. Now, Ogundameji did many, many things. He as one disciple of Ifa, Ogundameji came from the spirit world to earth without coming through the womb. And that is how he left. He came the same way he left. He didn't come, he was not born by a single person. He came directly from the spirit world, according to Osamaro. Because in the Odus of Ifa, we never found a person that says, oh, this is the mother of, like we know Orisha gave back to Ijiogbe. And the albino Afin is his mother. Oyekumeji has father and mother. Iworimeji, all of them. But Ogundameji did never have a father and mother. He came the same way as the deities came directly, without coming through the womb of a woman. When he got to the earth, according to Ogundameji, according to Ogundameji, in this world was called a Jioko. That's another name for him. And he divined for the tiger when tiger, in the spirit was divine for the tiger, because when the tiger was coming to this world, the tiger went to ask for how he's going to be fruitful on earth, how he's going to be prosperous. And Eledumare, Ifa prescribed offering that he must do to Eshu. Same as Ogundameji did, the tiger did not make an offering. Hence, every animal that the tiger hunts and kills, he will, once the tiger step over it with his arm, he will refuse it and never eat it. Because he didn't offer to Eshu. The first animal the tiger killed, Eshu created a sound that startled the tiger, and the tiger jumped over the kill. A few times the tiger was on something, starvation sets in on him, where he now starts being feeble. He cannot eat his food that he hunts. On going back to Ifa again, going back to Orunmila again, Ifa advised him to do the offering that he refused to do before. Hence, he now become successful at his hunt, and he was able to accomplish his destiny. So sometimes when we cast Ogundameji, we can tell the person that the person has been told to do certain offering because of not being able to accomplish things that they lay their hands on. We call it amubo in Yoruba language, where you do something and you cannot see the reward of it. You do go on a project, it just flops. If a person is facing such issue and they go to Ifa, if Ogundameji comes, we tell a person they are not able to accomplish destiny accomplish what they are doing because of not make offering. If they make certain offering, should we let them not be losing on whatever they set their hands on? Ogundameji also divined for the boa. Is a type of a snake, python. The boa is a snake that doesn't go about hunting. In the Ifa language, we say, wherever the python sits is where his blessings comes to meet it. The python was, Eledumare created the python to be a very gentle soul. Hence, being gentle, all the python does is sit in one space. Any animal that goes by that the python needs, it just sent his arrow to it. The animal can go far, far, far and go everywhere and still come back and die before the python. And the python now swallows it. The only taboo for the python is nothing can step on his tail. So in some Odu, like Ogunda Ogbe, which is what the Oguda Ogbe now, the python is what Orunmila offered to Izifa so that he was able to receive free blessings. In some Odus, Ifa will say, okay, we will use a python and give the head of a python. The head usually, when they kill the python, they will take the tail end, and then the head, and put his tail inside the mouth, and that's how they will sell it in the market. That's how they preserve it. The tail is his strength, and it's also, or even though his fang is in his mouth, the tail is his strength. There's a saying that says the fang of a python never leaves the python. Even though if it leaves, shoots it out into an animal, when it swallows the animal will rot inside and be digested, and the fangs will be returned back inside it through the animal. or the rat or rabbit or whatever, anything he eats. How the Ifa explains how the python got his power. Eledumare has given all his talents out to the animals. For the python being a gentle soul, Eledumare has given out power and neglected the python. So now the python came to Eledumare that you have done everything, but I have not received my own. Eledumare felt sorry for him and said, okay. Meanwhile, Eledumare was going or traveling on a journey, and his surrogate, his assistant, was the rabbit carrying his pouch. Eledumare looked inside the pouch and he could not find anything else in there but these arrows. And he gave those arrows to the python as his own talent that he can use to hunt. That those arrows, they stay inside him. When he shoots it out, he collects it back. And that's how he hunts. Now, the python, as you can see, when even in tradition, in other tradition, you can see people have fondle with it, wrap around their neck, go. People with Oya, they can carry a python and wrap it around their neck. With that, if you mistakenly step on its tail, it might sting you, but they must have some form of antidote. Like if it stings, then they are poison. The poison will not kill the person. The python is a revered animal, which definitely would be a taboo for somebody who has Ogundameji. If you have Ogundameji as Odu, you cannot eat snake. Ogundameji divination divine for outside. The outside where everybody sits and enjoy used to be a place where very desolate, very dull, until he gave divination to it. He make offerings to Eshu. Eshu make it lively, where the sun can now warm people up and people can have to come out. So we will say right now life will be slow and dull. Eventually you will be active. Okay. You will live long, you will prosper. That the person can make offering attract many people towards them. Now he has a business and this is not flourishing yet. And he went to Ifa and says, oh, my business is not moving. I don't know what. And then we cast and we see Ogundameji. We will make the offerings that Ode outside did with alligator pepper, with pepper, and things that makes things hot, and give it to Eshu. People will start coming. It will attract many people. Ogundameji was when Osamaru said he has the brute force of Ogun and the wisdom of Orunmila. The brute force of Ogun was what make Ogun become an entity that everybody use and set aside. If you use a knife now, or use a cutlass or a tool that is a piece of Ogun, if you use it, wherever you use it, you put it away. We don't even, when we use a knife, we don't praise the knife and say, oh, this knife helped me do the work that I want to do. We don't do that. So Ogun never received praises for the work that he did, because that was a curse from God. That's another Odu. Irete Ogunda is Odu that tell us why Ogun never get praises, because he refused to offer in the spirit world. Now, Ogundameji didn't listen when he went to Ifa and he went to Orunmila, and Orunmila told him that for him to make offering so that he will not be seducing the death, he will not seduce death's wife. Ogundameji seduced death's wife. But eventually, with the help of Osanyi, he was able to, Osanyi help him overcome that challenge that death has brought to him, because death was going to kill him. And he was, at the end too, also when he returned back to the spirit world, death was calling all the other priests and priestesses and all the people who are the Irumales, the deities, and people who are good on earth. Death was killing them. Ogundamiji was able to overcome death. He actually returned back to the spirit world by himself. And then when he got there, he decided not to come back to earth after he finished what he need to do there, which was to go, and he was able to, through offering, accomplish being able to expose death. He didn't expose it. Death begged him not to expose him. He exposed death, that death was feigning that he's sick and inviting all the different Awos to come and cure him. And every time they come to cure him and they cannot cure him, he locks them up and keeps them in the spirit world. Ogundamiji was able to find the solution to that, and he left, but he chose to stay in the spirit world and not come back to earth. When this Odu is cast, if this story comes into the mind of a diviner will tell the person, if you are courting or trying to date a light-skinned woman right now, for that person to refrain, not to do it. If a person comes to you and you cast Ifa and Ogundamiji comes up and this story comes into your mind, that's why in Ifa, it is good to know 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 stories. So, and if, by the time you relate each of those stories, the person you are divining for will have found which of the Odus that really apply to them. And they will surely tell you that, yes, yeah, you have touched on the issue that why I have come. That's if the person did not relate to the Awo that, okay, this is why I have come. Because we don't need to ask why they have come to Ifa. Now, Ogundamiji seduced Death's wife because he refused to make offering. He thought, I'm never going to go and seduce a light-skinned woman. Meanwhile, when he decided, okay, I will make the offering, he came across the woman and they end up being together, and Death now went after him for taking his wife, and Osanyi came to his rescue. In this story, even Osanyi himself, who borrowed Ogundamiji's dress, his cap, his wand, Iroke, and then all paraphernalia, went to Death, and Death thought it was Ogundamiji. But when Death finally realized who he was, he just told his servants to go and kill Osanyi. So they took Osanyi. First, they go and cut him up and put him at the crossroad. By the time they get home, Osanyi was already home. They report to Death, and Death said, okay, take him and cut him up and throw him in the river. Let the fish eat him. They did the same. Cut him up, throw him in the river. By the time they got home, he's already home. Because Osanyi has a power. At the end, Osanyi proclaimed to Death that I came back to see Death. Why don't you let me see him? Death was now afraid. And Death sent his messengers to tell him, okay, Ogundamiji can keep his wife. Like, he doesn't want anything to do with her anymore. He's removing his hand. Then Osanyi now tell him that Death must come and do it to him himself. Come and say that to him, and for him to bring him cola. So Osanyi is a strong deity. But the secret of that, at the end of that story, is Ogundamiji, Osanyi. When Ogundamiji now went and give thanks to Osanyi, Osanyi make an incantation that said, it is me. It is not me that Death killed. It is the mud statue Odidimade. Sometimes when we have this Odu, and we say, oh, the person you are courting can bring you death. We will make this offering. And if a person explains that, oh, the problem is already arrived, that this person is fighting me, then we have to make a mud statue and put it at the base of a issue to represent that person, and so that death can kill that mud statue and not kill the person. So Ogundameji, he divined for the rooster. He also divined for the parrot. These two birds, when they were looking for wife, they went to Ifa, went to Orunmila, and Orunmila divined and found out that Odu that came was Ogundameji. In that Odu, Orunmila advised the rooster to do offering so that he will not be disgraced by the way he's living his life, but how his nature is. Because the rooster, wherever the rooster sits, is where it excretes. And what woman is going to be with a man and sleep in the bed and you excrete there and you wake up in the morning, the whole place is smelling bad. This is how the rooster now lost his wife. His wife doesn't want him anymore because he refused to make up. Also for the parrot does not eat the outside crust of any food any fruit or anything that he eats. It goes for the soft inside. And the parrot always holds his food by his feet. He takes it from his feet and put it in his mouth. They both were never able to have a wife, not able to have wives because of the way they are living. They refuse to make offering. Had it been they have made offering, their life might not be that way. It should make all that to happen. When Ogundameji was coming to the world, all this work he did, these are the work that he did in the spirit world. Because every Odu will talk about what happened in the spirit world and what the other extra work that they did on earth. Now, when Ogundameji was coming from the spirit world, he went to Eledumare for his own blessings. At first, he went to Ifa. Ifa told him to make offering so that life would be easier for him here. Because he did not make all his offering, life was not so simple. Life was hard, tedious for him. When he went back, now when he realized it and went back to claim to receive his blessing now, Eledumare was busy eating and nobody sees him when he eats. As soon as Eledumare saw that it was Ogundameji, Eledumare just motioned him to take an item, a flag. But Ogundameji took a big one instead of a small one. And that big one, he covered himself with and ran straight to earth. By the time Eledumare sent message to him, Ogundameji has already reached earth. He, like I said, he was one of the deity that didn't go through a womb. Ogundameji never went through a womb, came straight and lived on this earth. When he came to the earth, the first entity that he divined for was called Oyi. 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 It was a woman. She was looking for her husband. When he went to Ogundameji for divination, Ogundameji said, "Oh, you will find a husband." And to make offerings, and once she made the offering, the person that she found became an Ifa priest who lived in many towns. And many of those towns like Abeokuta, Ijebu-Ode, Ewi-Ado, which is Okelani in Osun State. See, why the reason why Ifa is very vast and is very so real is because many of these things that we read in the stories, which happened more than 5,000 years ago, those towns are still exist. In the last Odu Ifa festival in Ekiti, we were able to visit the town of where Poroye met Orunmila. Poroye is the one that gave back to Olomo. Olomo is the first entity, is the last entity, I would say, the last person that was supposed to be executed and used as an offering. Because in the old days, yes, sometimes Ifa takes, they use humans as sacrifice to Ifa. But when Orunmila one time in the Odus, Ogunda Birete, Ogunda Irete, in the Odu of Ogunda Irete. We say when is a child of this Ogunda Miji. Ogunda Irete is where Orunmila sent his servants to go and buy him a slave. When they bring the slave now, the slave was tied down, and he was the slave was overnight, the slave was singing certain songs. So Orunmila's the Akwetebi now heard this song and went to Orunmila that this slave that was supposed to be used tomorrow, you can hear the words he's saying, I am not a slave. My father is Orunmila. It was when they heard it and they went and told Orunmila, now went and asked the slave that, how do you, he said, I don't know my father, but my mother told me Poroye is my mother. And then Orunmila remember Poroye. Poroye helped Orunmila out of a cavern where he fell. She used her wrap, tied up all her wrap and sent it down to where Orunmila was. I've been there for 16 days, hasn't eaten any food, hungry, but this woman was able to rescue Orunmila. And Orunmila married her and had one child, and that child, Olomo. Orunmila now, because Orunmila was just doing work there, he just came there to do Ifa, divining for people, and then he moved on. When he's moving on, when he got to Ile Ife now and had to buy a slave to do his Ifa in 1 year, and they brought Olomo, his own son. From that day, Orunmila decreed that they must not use human for Ifa. From that day on, Ifa never received human head. Ifa refused the goat head or any other animals that has been offered. Now, Ogundamiji married Oyi. Ogundamiji now settled down. When he settled down on earth, he lived in a town. He lived in a town. He lived in many towns, but he moved into a town where he was able to divine for Alamiyo. Alamiyo was supposed to be a hunter. He hunts. According to Ifa, the stories of Ifa, he was a hunter. And he was told to make offering, which he refused. So one day, Alamiyo now said he's going hunting. He went hunting. He came about this town, where Itakpa. When he came to the town, in this town, they have already been experiencing a bird that comes into their town and sings. Bogun, Pogmo. That's the bird that's singing, kill 20, kill 30. The hunter killed it. When Alamiyo came into the town, the people of the town have already gone to Orunmila, and Orunmila has told them that an Awo is coming. And this Awo is also a hunter. That when he comes into the town, he will be the one that helped them eliminate this bird who is coming and killing their people. When the hunter came now and killed the bird, everybody was happy. And they did so many good things for him. It wasn't long before because he did not make offering, he should now go around and tell the people, this person who that is tormenting you over all these years, do you not know if he has a chance, he will destroy you all? And the people think, oh yeah, it is true. This guy can, he's strong, he has power, he can do. Okay, we don't want him around anymore. So everybody now go against him. He had to move. He moved to the next town, the same thing. A bird that is tormenting them, that is singing, I'll kill 30, I will kill 30, I will kill. Every time he says he killed 30, as soon as he flew away, 30 people will be dropping dead. And the Alamiyo, the hunter, was able to kill this bird. And they were happy to have him in their town. And they did. After a while, Eshu still went back to the people and tell them, this person, have you heard his story, what he did there, what he did here? Do you not think this guy will take you all over because he has the power? They were all worrying, and they chased him out of town again. He did it in a few places where he could not have a rest of mind. And then he went back to Ifa, and Ifa told him that he refused to make certain offering, that Eshu is the one tormenting his life. And he went back and made those offerings. After he made the offering, the people in the town, the women in this last town, are actually the ones that contribute money and help build a home for him where he was able to live, and he was to live peacefully. He ended up becoming the king of the town. In this Odu of Ogundameji, Ifa will cast Ifa for people, and they say, so I don't know how my life is going. I do work, I don't see a result of it. I do it. Ifa, an Awo can tell the person that because of not making offering, if you didn't make offering that is prescribed by an Awo, you can be facing obstacles. You can face obstacles. And those obstacles can include ingratitude from people. So not everything that we do are we to be praised for. Ifa is teaching us to be people who can do for people and not worry if they show you gratitude or not. Because if you're a person that needs things, they must come and be grateful to you. You will be waiting for a long time, because most people in this world are. So we must know that we can be of that heart that wants to do things for people and not worry if they come back. Like you've done it. They say one good turn deserve another. But Ogundameji, if you cast Ogundameji in for a person, we can say people might be ungrateful to you for you not to work and continue doing the good that you are doing. Ogundameji cures the barrenness of Olofin's wife. Olofin had 3 children, have 3 wives. All of them cannot get pregnant, or they've been pregnant and they cannot have a baby for years, because after Olofin heard what is happening in Olofin heard what about Ogundameji and sent message to Ogundameji. But before he left, he already went to Ifa. Ifa has already told him he's going to take certain things with him when he travels, like ripe plantain, cola nut, and water, that he will meet somebody along the way that will help him. And surely, along the way, he met a woman who told him his journey, what it's going to be like, and how he should truly do the performances there. And Ogundameji was able to. There was supposed to be, apparently there was a woman who is a witch that sits in front of the house of Olofin, that makes, because Olofin had a dream. He had a certain dream which he cannot explain. And he called the Awos to come and explain it. None of them can. When the secret was revealed to Ogundameji through his offering by Eshu, and Eshu helped him to understand what the dreams were, and he was able to do it for Olofin. And his wife had children. They have their children, and he also married Olofin's wife. He had three of Olofin's children. Gratitude or listening to the words of Ifa. Ogundameji tells us a story of Agu Efeniyan. He was also a hunter who went to Ifa to find out if he's going to be successful in his annual hunting expedition. What Agu Efeniyan always do is he would dig a trench, a long trench, that any animals that fall into it is trapped, and then he will kill it. So Agu Efeniyan dug this trench, and he made his offering, and he went and dug the trench. Ifa has already prescribed to him that the first 2 animals that he found that inside the trench, he must release them and let them go. And then the 3rd one, he could start killing. So the first animal that he found there was a boa. And Agu Efeniyan released the boa and let it go. And the boa promised, as he was leaving, that, oh, I will pay you back with your kindness. The next animal that found in the trench was a rabbit. And he released the rabbit, and the rabbit says, okay, I will pay you back with your benevolence in the future. But Agu Efeniyan was wondering to himself, how is a boa going to help me? How is a rabbit going to help me? He continued his expedition, hunting. The other animal that came there was the cat, wild cat. And Agu Efeniyan was supposed to kill that cat, but he never did. He didn't obey the instruction of Ifa, and he released thinking, oh, this animal is too small. I need something bigger. He didn't follow the instruction of Orunmila. After a while now, the cat left, and Agu Efeniyan, because he didn't listen to the words of Ifa, no animal came into the trench anymore. Now he started to hunger. It was becoming hungry. And then one day, he came across the rabbit, and the rabbit was surprised to see him still living very poor. And the rabbit was like, I have to help him. I have to help him. And in the process of helping him, he dug a hole from Agu Efeniyan's house into the king's treasury, where all the treasury, he can start to harvest it for Agu Efeniyan. He became very prosperous and became very rich. So one day, his friends came about, and they asked him, how did you come about this riches? And he said, oh, it was the rabbit that did this for me. Before you know it, the same cat that he released is the one that went and tied tail on him. When this Odu comes and this story comes into our mind, we would tell the person that the reason for your not being successful is like somebody is telling your stories. Somebody is doing something to you with a person of authority, a person who has authority. Somebody is telling your story to them and preventing your progress. It could be at the place of work. It could be anywhere. If I will remember the story, we'll say, okay, don't forget to do good, but be careful who you do the good for, because you can do good for people who are coming to hurt you. For example, say you're a police person, you're a policeman, and you come across a situation where, okay, I'm a black man and I'm a police, and this young man is also a black person, and he did something wrong and I want to cover it up. What if a person you are covering up now backfires and exposes such a person, then you have to answer to not being truthful. And to be in distance, in fear. And if I don't worry about other people's head and let our head be destroyed, I can do it. You can't do nothing. You want to help somebody and you deprive yourself. You cannot deprive yourself. Ogundameji, Agwefenia, in this order of Ogundameji, was depriving himself by letting the Ogbo, the cat, releasing the cat instead of killing the cat. The cat is the one that actually went now and tell the king about Agwefenia's treasure, which he stole, which he got from the king. Now, when the king called Agwefenio to come and face is it will be like a case. It's a case about his missing treasure. The cat was invited in 7 days to come and Agwefenio was invited in 7 days to come and talk about how it came about his the riches. They already incarcerated the rabbit. The python, the boa python now see a way to pay back Agwefenio for releasing him when he set him free. And he says, "Oh, I'm going to pay you back for your benevolence." Agwefenio was even wondering, how is he going to pay him back? The python now hears the story and now went there and stayed by the cat's palm tree where he was tapping. He went first in the morning to go to the forest to tap some wine so that he can do his early morning walk before he goes to the king to answer the case. As he was stepping down from the tree, he stepped on the python's tail, and that's a taboo. Nobody steps on the python's tail. The person who steps on the python's tail is going to see the wrath of the python. That's why a very strong medicine that we make, as a person who knows it, is we use the head and the tail of a python with some plants, the plant of "do not touch my child." We'll burn it into powder and use it to make just one incision on somebody's in your head. Whoever wants to bring problem to you, guaranteed to face problem. Because python is a very revered animal. God really blessed the python with certain power that people cannot comprehend. We cannot comprehend. We don't know. We just know that this is the power that the python has. Same one all the animals have theirs. The cat has its own, the lion had it, the elephant has its own, even the bat, rats, fishes, everybody had their own different blessings and what they are used for. The pigeon, the white dove, they all do. If I explain all those to us, and those who understand the path of this path will use those powers from these animals and plants and the leaves, the plants, they have many powers inside them. And when you use those powers, you will get certain reward from them. That is why this wisdom is not wisdom that we need to set aside. We need to continue to learn it, because Ifa is learning through our lifetime, to learn it and pass it on to our children, because that become our heritage. We've lost so much. We have lost so much. We African people, the powers are still here. They are still in the plants. So now when Agwefenio stepped on the python stung him, and he went trying to get home, changed to go attend. By the time he got home and changed his clothes and on his way to the palace to answer the case, he just died along the way. And the news got to the king that he had died. The king just assumed that, okay, he must have come and lied to him and wanted him to prosecute Agbo for. Meanwhile, if Agbo did not go and make his offering, things will not work out that way for him. He listened because he made the offering and he listened to the words to release the python and release the rabbit. If he had released the cat, nothing would have happened to him. But because he did not release, he released the cat and did not kill it, it caused issue for him. But because he made offering, truth still came and catch up to it. And the python that he released killed the cat, which ended up having the rabbit being released and Agbo Efeniyan not being prosecuted. And he had his riches, So that is one of the odus of Ogbe. In the Ogbe Ogundameji, where how he got his name were two people, Oni and Ooni, the one that has and the one that doesn't have. The one that has knows where there's a pond, is the owner of a pond. The one that doesn't have is the owner of a baler. Now, the Ooni and Oni both were walking inside this pond. The one that owns the baler now is using his baler to bail the water in the pond. And when they finished bailing the whole water in the pond, they only found one fish. They found one fish. As they were arguing who owns this fish, Eledumare sent Ogundameji into the forest and came about these two friends, found them fighting, and Ogundameji asked them, what is the issue? And they explained. And Ogundameji said, give me the fish. And he cut it into halves. He gives one to Oni, and he gives the other half to Oni, and they both were happy. That is how the name Ogundameji came. Ogun cuts fish into two is the name Ogundameji. That's one of the good things. When this Odu comes, we will tell the person to go and give a fish to Ogun. We give the head to Ogun and give the tail to Eshu. It is number one of the offerings of Ogundameji to overcome any issue that one has in life, so that you will not meet with antagonism. If you are being antagonized at work, you do something, somebody is always there, or supervisor is always there, or somebody is just always there saying, this doesn't work, or this is not good, or trying to cause problem for a person, we will recommend to we don't know the reason why. Because it's written that, because it is written thank you. Because it is written that Ebo, which is a sacrifice, which is a child of Orunmila, has volunteered and gave herself to her own father, that father, anything you need to do, just use me. That's Ebo. It's the daughter of Orunmila. Ebo is what used to fix, Orunmila used to fix the earth. And Ebo, who do we give the Ebo to? Either we give the Ebo to Eshu, which is number one, or we give the Ebo to deities in form of Adimu or blood offering. Adimu means food offering, either cooked or uncooked. But it's by asking, we will ask, we keep asking. If he says, oh, the Odu comes and we relate the stories. We said, Ifa, what should we do? Ebo or sacrifice? Is it Ebo or Ebo is sacrifice or offerings, which is blood offering or non-blood offering? If I will choose one, if you say Ebo, what is Ebo? What are we going to use for Ebo? We ask one at a time. And then once we get that, he said, okay, if he doesn't take Ebo, if he choose offerings, we say, what type of offering? Is it blood offering or food offering? It will choose too. If you say blood offering, then we ask, which of it are we going to use? Is it a hen? Is it a rooster? Is it a cow? If we do not know what Ebo goes for it, if we know the Ebo, we go directly to that Ebo. If we know the Adimu, we go straight to Adimu. We know if we are giving to Olokun now, Olokun doesn't take blood offering. We take fruit. We take food. Even if you're gonna give it a bird, like a pigeon, a white dove, we won't kill it. We ask, should we keep it at home or should we release it? So if I will guide as to whatever offering and whichever way we should do it. Ogundameji also make divination for the crown prince of Benin to become. He also helped the people of Oyo with their war at Ijesha. Like I said, in the last stories of Ogundameji, how he went back to the spirit world. Unlike any of the other deities that grow old and die, Ogundameji went back to the spirit world because death found a strategy to call back all the disciples of Ifa, of Orunmila. He called them back one at a time, telling them he's sick, for them to come and cure him. And everybody that tried and cannot do it, he locked them up. Anybody that tried that they cannot do it, he locked them up. But because Ogundameji now went for offering and already find divination, already found out that, okay, is a trick. The trick is death always wear his wife's clothes. According to, we remember that in Irosumeji, where Irosumeji was called to come and cure death. Irosumeji or Barameji, one of those Odu, was come and cure death, and he found out, he spied on death and found out death was wearing his wife's clothes, sickness, feigning that he's sick, and he wasn't actually sick. The same thing, the same Odu this is how Ogundameji also was called in to come and cure death, and found out that death was actually feigning death, and death really exposed that secret to him, and death now told him, death recognized him that, oh, this is the same guy that took my wife, and was able to get away with it. And Ogundameji told him, today is not the day of your revenge, but today I am here to cure that is death now told him not to expose him to the rest. He released all the hours that he had locked up. Many of them stay back in the spirit world. Some came back to earth, but Ogundameji decided that he's going to stay in the spirit world, and he stayed in the spirit world. Many things. He gave us some incantation. In his incantation, he used it to give the taboo for children of Ogundameji, that children of Ogundameji cannot be a hunter. They must not hunt for birds. They must not hunt for animals. They must not hunt for reptiles in the forest or fishes in the water. That is what he advised. When we see the Odu of Ogundameji and the person is cast, They cannot be hunters. They must not. But the Odus, I have one child of Ifa who has that Odu at Igbodu. And when that Odu came, Ifa says, you are going to be doing sedentary work where he's going to stay in one place and be working. And true to it, when he got back, coronavirus came in and he has to stay home and do his work from home. He's selling medical supplies. So all his work is done online. And, everything from the supplier to the people he's selling it to, his company he works from home. And as Ogundameji had a strong effect in his life. And that was last year when he realized that through his dream, he dreamed and says he wants to use a cow, because Ogundameji use a cow to offer a cow to Ifa for prosperity. So last year, I think he did that. He's just sent message to us. So that was on the 21st of August. That will be this August now will be 1 year since then. 21st of August. We use his cow to celebrate Isheshe Day all around us here. He sent a cow, we kill it for Ifa, for his Ifa, and then we call all the traditionalists and use it to cook the food for the people, and had the Isheshe Day on the 21st of August last year. So Ogundameji, a person we cast Ogundameji for very strong and active people. They have to listen to advice and not to, because in Ogundameji, Odu says the tree was angry, very angry, and it fell into the river. The river was hungry and it carried the tree away. So in that, Ifa is telling us, it is not that we must do everything and be cognizant of anger, not to be easily angered. Things sometimes people will be so angry, not to react, to act and not to react. Because if you react to somebody's action, one can overdo what they do. So Ogundameji people are always they must have settled heart. We must advise them to not worry, not to be easily angered, to always brush from their heart there all the way down to their stomach, to brush it down with their hand, so that they will not be easily angered. And we always use coconut water for such a person, coconut water. And we always make offering to Ogun and Eshu, so that the one will not behave in an irrational way that will cause problem for them. So this is Ogundameji. Maybe we can have any questions?
Baba.
Yes.
There is one thing you had mentioned that I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
Because when I was in Ibadan, one of the Awos told me that Ifa stays inside.
Yes.
Right? And that Ifa doesn't see the sky.
Mm-mm.
And that it's taboo.
Yes.
And I didn't know the Odu to support that. And I think you said this is a Ogundameji.
Yes.
That speaks about Ifa having cover, having a house. So this is the reason why we keep Ifa indoors.
Yes, and the second one, there is another Ogbeyonu, Ogbe Ogunda. Ogbe Ogunda also talks about it. Ogundameji talks about it. Ogbeyonu also talks about it. This is the reason why we keep Ifa inside.
Yes.
You know the divining tray? The divining tray must not see we must not see the sunlight either. We don't let the sun shine. Divining tray. say you want to move it from place to place, you keep it covered. Sun must not shine on. Ifa doesn't even, we don't take Ifa outside. It's always covered. Even when you have Ifa in your home also, and the sun is shining through the window, if the sun is shining through the window, you make sure it doesn't shine on top of the Ifa. You know, in the Odu of creation, Ogundameji and Ogbeyonu, it is Ogbegunda. When all the deities did not stay indoors, they all hide inside. When they came to earth from Iligun, Iligun is from the palm tree that they used to descend onto earth. They all went inside because it was raining. They ran inside and stay indoors. But Orunmila has already been warned by Ifa not to stop, to keep going inside the rain. That is why it is taboo that Orunmila will be outside, because right now is the one that is sheltered, and all the other ones that are not sheltered are outside. Ogun is outside at our shrine. If you notice in Africa here, all the shrines, they are outside, exposed into the open. Oluwaye is outside. Eshu is outside. All of them are outside. They are not like inside in the diaspora, you know, because of our environment. You want to keep the Eshu inside, but you can have it on the balcony, have it outside. If you have it outside, it's even better outside, because you don't want to keep it inside. Eshu goes about all the time. We don't want it moving around inside our house. We want it to be roaming around the street and go bring money and go bring good things to drive away negativity, you know? So I'm trying to get a bit of light.
Yes.
Light is going already. So does that answer the question?
Ben.
It's taboo for Ifa to be outside, yeah. It's taboo for the sun to shine on Ifa. Keep it inside.
Ashe, Baba.
Yeah. You are doing the work of Ogun. If it's not for coronavirus that disturb your work, you are a child of Ogun. You are a child of Ogun, truly, because of the work that you do. You know, there are 7 Ogun. The Ogun that cuts hair, Ogun that takes blood of human, Ogun that takes the blood of dog. A car, a vehicle is a tool of Ogun that takes the blood of human. Because when a car crash, it kills people like just like that. There's a people that do the work of Ogun where they are working the abattoir or the butcher shop. People that work with Ogun and work in a factory. All those are the work of Ogun. People who is a smelter, work of Ogun. There are 7 different work of Ogun. The work of life, and your work is one of it. Having a beautician shop, a barber shop, is a work of Ogun. Yeah. So people like you must be praying to Ogun all the time. Praying to Ogun all the time so that everything can come back to normal, and Oluwaye to open up all the paths and have things returned for you so that you can be working and earning your living. In other parts of the world, the virus is not really affecting people, but they've taken it it's become, I don't know. There must be a conspiracy behind it, and everything will be exposed. Nothing is hidden forever. What is hidden in the eyes of the people is open clearly in the eyes of Eledumare. That's what they say. What is hiding for us, and people are doing it in hiding, before Eledumare, it's all open and exposed. And eventually everything will be exposed to us. We will see why things are the way they are on the long run. But we must be patient. We must persevere. We will not let it get to us so that it disrupts our own destiny, so that everything will come out clear later. You know?
Ashe Baba.
Adura will be blessed. Any other question?
No. That was good,
Now,
Baba.
Yeah, we are going to be talking about Osameji. Osameji. Osaeleye. Osameji is the Odu of
Yam.
Yes, how they came to earth, who brought them, what they did, why they did what they did, who divined for them, and what they did to Orishanla, what they did to Orunmila, what Orunmila did to them. That is a very good Odu. That it is the Odu of my Ita, my third day. That's my Odu. That's why I hardly do any work without adding theirs, because they promise to keep the child of Orunmila safe and free.
Gotcha.
They are here. They are in this dimension, and they are everywhere in the world. So once Ifa is the one that let us recognize them. Once you recognize them and they recognize you, they will not disturb. They will let everything flow easily, and life will continue to be in smooth order with them. Osamiji is a very good Odu. It's one to understand, and because the powers of the mothers is power that is not man-made. It came from the spirit world, and then it's transferred, given to the people. It's a spiritual thing. You cannot, it's not a club that you can join. In the diaspora, some people are lying to the diaspora that, oh, we can give you the power. You can get it. No. It's secretly given. And whoever gets it will know when you get it already. And there are many stories about it. So we would treat Osamiji and how Orunmila brought them to this earth. Orunmila brought them to earth when all the other deities were coming, and they came along, and where they make their home, how they continue to exist from generation to generation, and they will always be here. They will never, since they were the only one that was spared, according to the stories of Ifa, the only one that was spared begat all the ones that are existing on the earth today. They are not to be compared to the European witches of riding on a broom, mystical thing that we see here. They of the bird, of the flight energy, of the spirit that can see, all four corners of the earth, and they can do many, many things. I mean, we pray that we build their children, that we be their children, they take us as children and not fight against us as enemy. And there are many, many secrets as to how we can get their blessings, seek their blessings, or force them to give us blessings through medicine. So anyways, I pray that this week
I don't know, did we lose them?
Yeah, baby. He clarified for me what Ifayami was telling me in Ibadan when he said that it's taboo for Ifa to see the sky. Right, Ifa's inside.
Right.
So according to the Odu Okudameji and Obeyono, the divinities came to earth, they reigned for 16 days. Oludumare told Orunmila to continue on to do his work, but the divinities hid for shelter. This is what Orunmila then came with Ile from Orun. Now when he came from Ile from Orun, Orunmila was the only one that had a home, had a house, a shelter after following Olodumare's instructions to stay in the rain and still persevere for 60 days. He then got sheltered. The rest of the Rumor and the Orishas are all the shrines are all outside. He said, so even now to this day, it is taboo for Ifa to be exposed to the sky. So even when you pray to Ifa, even if there's sun coming through the window, you should close your window and not let the daylight shine.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, don't let it shine on your ifa. And also your divining trays. It says, don't make your divining tray which is be exposed to sun and light in the sky. So that was yes, truly.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
that was very because I was thinking about down telling me, yeah, Ifa stays indoors, we don't expose. It's taboo for Ifa to see the sky, and you just say things, but sometimes they wouldn't give you the Odu. It's like in conversation, but they wouldn't give you the full Odu or the explanation as why, unless you really have time to sit with them and start kind of pick their brain. But so much is going on when we were in Ibadan. So much was going on that they're just giving you little tidbits here and there. You'd be like, okay. And you're trying to absorb all the information and pay attention to what's going on.
And piece it together later on.
Yeah,
it's a nature oral tradition. Though they never give you, it's never like a class. They throw these, these little nuggets out, and you have to piece them together as you go along. On the journey, because I think a lot of times if they just give it to you, then there's no understanding. As you go on, your understanding grow. Then you go, now I understand what happened.
And you have that enlightening moment as to why things come together. You're right. And it's been so many things like where been told something, didn't understand it or comprehend it, didn't know the substance behind it. And then as time goes on, experiences, and you realize it, the understanding of it comes to light. It's just, it definitely is that kind of tradition. So very, very interested. Very interesting. Yes. So it's like things like that is very very enlightening.
Yes.
Aguda Meji. Yeah, Aguda Meji is interesting because even when I read some of the orikis or the prayers in some publications, they sometimes they wouldn't tell you. Sometimes you don't realize that some of the prayers are coming from Odu.
Yes.
So sometimes I'd be thinking that, this is just like a general prayer that they probably formulated to give honor. But then later on, you bump into the Odu and realize, oh, I was actually chanting an Odu or speaking an Odu as an Oriki or as a prayer. And then you start to say, okay, he says, you think you don't know Odu, but you really do when you're doing prayers. So there's some things like, you're praising to Olodumare in the four corners of the earth, and Olodumare is the light of the world. That was Agunda Meji, and I didn't realize that till way later on.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, the more enlightened you become, then the more understanding comes forward. I mean, you have, it's also in the carnal life, right? You get information, and until you begin to truly understand and sort of come to revelation, that information becomes null and void because you just have it, you know it, but it doesn't realize, now that I understand what that means. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So that was great. I guess the rest of the crew tied up today.
Yeah, Jan's nephews are having birthday celebrations. Charmaine was doing a private Uber.
Yes.
And Iwerole, I think she's traveling today. I think she mentioned she was traveling somewhere today, so she probably at this time, so she probably wouldn't be able to join. She was mobile. Well, but it was good. It was a clear recording, so at least they can get it. We had a few glitches, but it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna send the recording to Mercer or post it here. See, I'd like Mercer to hear this one. This one was really good for really good. Agunda Meji, I liked it.
Yeah,
which I believe was your postal do as well. Yeah, in her Itafa, her initiation of Agunda Meji came up in her one of her readings in her initiation. Agunda Meji. So this is very clear. This gives a lot of good clarity.
Yes.
Not about not to be angry, to keep patient. The Agunda Meji people, they do things when they're so angry, irrational, and overdue.
Yep.
Go to the extreme, and then and then to stay calm. He says that they always tell you to pass your hand on your chest down to your stomach to keep yourself calm.
Oh, is that the key?
Yes. Well, we don't know if it works, but it's suggested. I'll try it.
Uh,
Okay.
so even though it's not her birth ordu, it is one of her initiation ordus.
Those, yeah.
Yeah. So usually what happens, like when you for full initiation, they usually cast 3 odus. They do
Okay.
a pre-initiation odu to give them like insight into the initiation, right? To see what is going to come of this, and like give them insight how to approach this person's journey into Ifa. And that's your pre-initiation odu. And then you have your tefa, which is your birth odu, where you cast yourself, right? Where it's your ori casting your odu. This is your birth odu, your tefa. This is your signature. And then you have a post odu, which pretty much gives you also further direction now on what has transpired, and how to fortify your destiny moving forward. And they all come together and they all support one another. Right. So your birth odu, all your taboos from your birth odu, your name, the whole 9 yards. But then you have a pre-odu and a post-odu that helps support your birth odu. So it's almost like it's a process where they take the and it depends, of course, if it comes with Ire or if it comes with Ayewo. So they'll know, if it comes with Ire from those odus, what are the positives to reinforce and the things you need to avoid, and further. So it's very, very interesting, right? Because that's how they're even able to understand the divinities that support you.
Yeah,
it's through those different odus. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're able to find out which divinities are in support of your destiny, that came with you, that help guide you and so forth, which is very, very, very remarkable process.
Yeah.
But I saw the difference, a huge difference with how initiation was done in Trinidad as opposed to in Ibadan. And you'll realize that because of resources,
Yeah, resources, and I think it's also depending on who's doing it. It's also holding on to certain parts of the lineage that they don't they just it becomes organic for them. So certain things it's just organically inherent in the process. Whereas that's they have to almost bring unearth certain things and bring it forward, so that the process becomes a little more. I find intense. It becomes they do certain things because they have to bring certain divinities forward. Certain spirits have to literally awake those spirits, whereas it's always alive and on the continent. So
yes, exactly. So it's just very, very interesting. So and even with me, as even with my confidence in the tradition and everything, and I was seeing the difference, and I was just like, I said to her, if you're not initiated, you don't go into Igbodu with the person. Right. Mm-hmm. So, and you can't be around Igbodu during the time that they're going through the process in the sacred grove. And there was a part of me that felt like, there was one point where I felt a little bit of insufficiency, because I was just like, I know I'm initiated into Ifa, but this process seems so much more elaborate and different from what I did.
Right.
So subconsciously, there's a moment where, my validity was hit a bit, and I was like, I went to my Olu. I said, Rabbi, are you sure I'm supposed to be here? He said, and then he looked at me and he goes, of course, you fully initiated into Ifa. I said, oh, okay. Like, how dare we ask that question? Like my Ifa initiation wasn't substantial. You know what I mean? How dare you say, oh, okay, all right. And I sat down in Igbodu while they were going through the process, and it's just like, and that was just for me to let me know that even though it was different because of where I am in the substantiation, he goes, the potency and the substantiation of my initiation was not compromised. I still initiated into Ifa, so that was that was also something I needed to see, hear, feel, experience, and also reinforce for myself. Because being a human being, it is what it is. You're sometimes
you kind of go, okay, I know I'm initiated, but this seems a little out of my league here.
Yeah, and to the point where I'm, you start questioning the substance of my initiation process, because I'm like, they didn't do that, they didn't do that, they didn't do that, and I'm like, what? You know what I mean? I felt like I was missing something. He says, no. He goes, it's just based on resources, place, time. Things come but everything was covered. It was really nice experience. So, everything's a learning process. It's definitely something. It's definitely something. But that shrine that they have in Trinidad where we initiated, though, like it was like I'm not gonna say curated. It's not a museum, but the way they have consecrated it and set up the temple and everything in Santa Cruz, like you could tell it was they really made sure that everything was in place. Like they have shrines for every Orisha on that place, in that place.
Right.
And they have and there was one major thing that I learned. When I spoke to my Luo, the rabbi was like, I use these amount of plants for my Ifa, right? And I said, okay, I know traditionally they always say that they use 16 plants. He goes, no, but I only use 6. I go, well, how come people are telling me that, when you're reading these things that they use 16 plants, because, 16 and so forth. He goes, my grandfather and my great-grandfather, he goes back down his lineage because they could recall all that. And because the tradition is so, he goes, this is what my great-grandfather did in my lineage, my grandfather and my father and myself. Right. He goes, so I'm bringing forth the tradition, even that aspect of the plants that we use for our Ifa during Tefa, or for Ifa anniversaries and all this stuff he uses for consecration. The amount of plants he uses is based on his ancestral tradition. Yeah. Also, so you realize that Ifa and the tradition, as much as we have different, they have certain constructs on how they do things in different areas. A lot of the energies they conjure from their ancestral energy to be able to bring forth. So when I realized that, I was just like, okay, this is why in Trinidad the way the Ifa was done was according to the ancestral energy that is present in Trinidad. Yep. Yes. So then I'm realizing that he honored that ancestral energy that was in Trinidad. And they do Ifa according to that ancestral energy that's present and implemented and work with it, just like how they would do it in Ibadan, And I was like, it brings forth a potency of spirit, because the ancestors is what you're utilizing to intervene with these divinities to help the process move along. So it was great. It made me understand that, like, you really have to kind of understand from a different perspective, rather than just from an academic, like, okay, it's like this, it must be like this, and over here it's